Hello YouTube, this is Ben Gessel. How's it going? Okay, so this is part two of some thoughts here on a Friday evening. Um, so I want to do a lot of things this summer. I have to make a list of everything I'm gonna need and want to do. But there's a big list. Gotta get to it. But I wanted to mention some things about music. I was mentioning some things about library music versus classical music. I cannot emphasize enough how amazing triadic or tertial harmonies, like by thirds, chord extensions are. Everyone thinks they're jazzy, whatever that means. They're not just jazzy, far from it. This type of harmony, and by the way, jazz uses this kind of harmony, but oftentimes, I don't know, it's just harmony is something that's often more associated with Eurasia, especially Europe. Rhythm is often more rhythmic when it comes to jazz and a lot of pop stuff. A lot of rhythms are more sometimes attributed to Africa. And in other areas of the world, like in to some extent, the Americas, more American Indians, and especially Asia and India, it's more scale or modal or scale, scalar kind of driven or melody driven. So it's just different. We're also talking about Iran and stuff. Iran. Yeah, anyway. So, no, I mean, the richer harmonies, okay, richer harmonies used, especially in the 19th century, a lot. That is not always avant-garde, but it's kind of a continuation of Romanticism from 1800s. Um, Harmonies used by Debussy and Ravel and Elgar and um, Howard Hanson and oh boy, Wade Vaughan Williams, and it's just thousands and tens of thousands and hundreds of thousands, maybe. I don't know. Just most folks in the 1900s and now, I think, are using triads still, even though the academia is still pretty stubbornly in the avant-garde, more or less. It's what they do. Um, there's a growing trend to have other music taught as well, which is vital in my opinion. But a lot of folks just stay away from academia because of this attitude, this aesthetic preference for the avant-garde. And I can tell it's like darker, the blue sky. It's so blue. It's almost like a purple blue. My phone. So I just can't get enough of this stuff. I mean, I wrote so much of my music uses sevenths and ninths and 11ths and 13ths and stuff. And, um, it's just very warm sounding. It's more emotional. It's more how you feel in your teens and adult years about many different emotions. If you're talking about basic triads, it's a little bit more how you felt about things before you were 14. So it's a bit more juvenile sounding, but not always. Sometimes just a very singular emotion. If you want a very singular, specific, simple emotion, right? With a lot of complexity, you're going to use triads. And if you want more complex, subtle emotions, you're going to probably go in more sorts of emotions that adults and older teens especially, tend to experience. Particularly those that are just very developed for the age, or just intellectually or whatever, more developed aesthetically. I don't know. Yeah, you're going to go for these richer harmonies. And, quartal and quintal and sequential harmonies are just different than tertial harmonies. When you're talking about thirds, you're talking about emotion, talking about the human experience. It's very human sounding, very, it's organic, it's life. Talking about secundal harmony, it's by seconds, it's blurry, it's use it for landscapes and watery things, or just it's gonna sound clustery, it's gonna sound muddy, right? In seconds, sometimes darker if you're talking about minor seconds, not so, more colorful if you're talking about major seconds, depending on what it is. And the whole tone scale is all major seconds, but which is what WC often uses, so, or pentatonics or whatever. So, but yeah, thirds are the meat of what so much of us listen to. We just aren't aware that they're thirds, but they're thirds. C, E, G, and then B and D, and F sharp maybe, A, or C, E flat, G, B flat, D, F, A, or any of those, so, or something else, dominant ninth or 11th or 7th, C, E, G, B flat, D, or some like diminished or augmented or something. But the fourths and fifths are a lot more robotic, or they're a lot more dry, a lot less organic. They're mechanical sounding, especially the fourths. They're sciencey sounding, electronics, computers. Fifths are kind of both human and inorganic, like a dry desert, open fifths. And you get back to sixths, it sounds more like thirds, and sevenths are a little clashy, like seconds, but different. So, anyway. But yeah, I've been doing some composing. I'm going to be writing some music for horn quintet. I'm going to be writing some music for some professional musicians I know. I'm going to be writing some music for woodwind quintet. I'm going to be writing some music for piano solo. Still trying to research getting it all published. And, there's a train of thought I have that is getting back to my first video. I try not to be too downhearted or pessimistic, I suppose you could say, about not just about women. It really isn't just women. Try not to be too pessimistic about what people don't see in me that is actually really there. It's be great for people to see sometimes, but it's more just stronger human connections. Yes, I'm very close to my family. Boy, I don't know what I'd do without them. Goodness knows that this life is very brutal for a lot of people. Again, no matter how hard I think it is sometimes for me, just to be good to go in life, a lot of people have it harder than I do. So, I imagine some people are going to get subscribed to my channel. Maybe, I don't know, a certain number that already are, have a harder life than me in many respects. And so who am I to look at them in any negative way whatsoever? That's the furthest thing from my mind. If I was a very wealthy person, or if I had a lot of people that were my employees, or if I was, the more further you go here, the more I was in, some kind of really, more I'm thinking about not just a job, but if I was a president of a country, or if I just, had a lot of influence over a lot of people, I can't tell you how many things I would do differently than most folks. So this is one of the reasons why it's undeniable that the Illuminati exists. It's undeniable. Anybody who thinks it's weird has got their head stuck in the ground, including, heck, people that are I know very, very well. But there's a lot of people that just refuse to admit its existence. And you don't have to call it that. You can just call it people that have a stinking huge amount of money that want everyone else to have less. That's basically what it is. And it's amazing to me that so many people just don't see that when you have people with all this money and power, what do they want? More of it. It's no surprise to me that they do all these bad things that we don't even know about. I mean, just, you know. But I do want to talk about that, just that stuff. You know, there's other things as well. I certainly, down the road, considered my situation where I'm at right now. I'm moving, but it's not urgent. I don't know. I know what I'd like to have in my next place. I would like to be, but I've also still considered going to Asia or Europe or teaching or going to college somewhere still. Just getting away from a lot of stuff that has been driving me nuts for a while. So that's why I think my life has been the way it's been for quite some time now, as I've tried to get away from some things. Successfully, mind you. But it's, I am a bit hermit-like, it's true. But I enjoy not being around certain kinds of elements, I guess you'd say. I don't know. Isn't that life? It's just a lot, it just depends on the person. There are people, whether single or married, again, to have a full-time job. That full-time job takes all their energy, it takes all their time, or a lot of it. It's amazing they can do other things outside of their job. Who has time to go get their car fixed? It has to be on the Saturday for a lot of people. Or they have to have a second car or they take the bus or something. I don't know. There are a lot of life situations that I still don't know about. And life is being the way it is. When some things happen in the future, I'll experience them. Until they happen, I won't know about some things. One of the things also I should mention in this video is, I do this a lot of times. I just, in the morning, when I have a free time in the day. Incidentally, tomorrow, I have another concert. I have to be there at 5:30 p.m. for some. This is just the way sometimes these things go. So, in the Fly Symphony Orchestra I'm playing in right now, there are some pieces of music that won't require, all 4 French horns. And me being the second horn, there's a good chance I'll be in these smaller pieces. Maybe, depends on what the first horn wants to do. But in this case, it was like nobody wanted to play this certain piece, this organ concerto. So I was the de facto person to play the second horn part. So I'm like, okay. I'm not really thrilled about it. I'm just kind of like, sometimes I'm just like I'm roped into things. Don't you love it when you just feel roped into things? I'm not opposed to it. I'm not vehemently opposed to playing this. But it's a similar thing to when you're playing in ensembles when you're younger or in college, or a lot of times. There are a lot of folks that are just roped into things that they would, if they had to say yes or no, they might say no to. In a musical ensemble, like in a community orchestra in this case. When you're paid for something, that's different. You're paid for it. So, no matter how you like it or not, it's your job, so you do the best you can and hopefully you don't get fired. Nope, you probably won't if you play really well. So, but in community orchestras, when it's volunteer, you feel like a schmo if they're the only person that they can play this part, or that nobody else wants to do it. So then you're left with the part, and this just happens sometimes, Anyway, so I got this concert tomorrow, starting at 5:30. Earlier than usual. We have to be really flexible, and we have to. I have to deal with. I always have to deal with my students who I teach often later in the day, and the weekdays, and Saturdays. It's kind of intermittently throughout the day. It's just the reality of life, and my biggest beef with orchestras I've played with in this regard is they just seem to assume that, hey, you make sacrifices for the group. That's the way it goes. It's one of the reasons why I'm like, sometimes, you know what? I don't want to play with an orchestra. I just don't. I mean, it seems like a very foreign thing, and it's a very foreign thing for me to say. But it's like, if I have to keep rescheduling, I hate doing reschedules. I hate canceled lessons. I understand people go on vacation. I just, when I get some time, I'll have to rethink how I do things. I hate having to be the bad guy. I hate being whatever this way. And I hate it when I have to put parents and students at a disadvantage by me having some kind of conflict with a regular lesson schedule every week. And I hate it when it has nothing to do with me. Look, like vast majority of the time when I have to reschedule a music lesson, it's something I have no control over. I do, but it's something that either I'm volunteering to do, like a community orchestra, that you do it or you're out, and I don't know, or it's like my family, vacation stuff, or it's like a church thing, or it's like and believe me, if you know about my church, you cannot be a casual Mormon. Doesn't you can try anyway. It's just okay. So no, I hate rescheduling. I hate it. I absolutely hate it, or I hate cancel lessons especially. But people don't realize how crazy my schedule is. Some people have no concept of how often I reschedule, because I'm flexible with parents. They just keep doing it, and they don't realize, oh, maybe they shouldn't do that. But then I hate doing the same thing. I hate it. So I have this earlier than usual dress rehearsal tomorrow at 5:30. We're doing this organ concerto I'm really half-hearted about. I don't want to be there. When I was in college, there was a time I just kind of just said, the heck with that. Of course, I paid the price for it. But, I learned my lesson. But the thing is, this is community orchestras. Anytime somebody slacks off, doesn't do so great, it affects the rest of the orchestra in a negative way. And so as part of orchestral etiquette and all this stuff, you learn not to do that stuff. You learn to, you always play the best you can. You try to build the orchestra. You try to make the orchestra stronger. So the better musician you are, the more you can add to the orchestra, the more the orchestra likes you and they want to keep you. And that's definitely the case when it comes to professional orchestras, because, goodness sakes, I mean, that's like goes without saying, but, gosh darn it, yeah. I mean, you're getting paid, but, we're doing like Vaughan Williams, we're doing a Rossini piece, we're doing William Grant Still. I'm not playing it. It's not like I'm playing in every single piece, but some part of me is saying increasingly things like, well, I'm getting to an age where I just want to do what I want to do. It just dominates my thinking more and more. You have to make ends meet. There's still some things we all have to do, or we all want to do. But the older, it's just like why? If there's some things, just what's the purpose? What is this all for? The reason why musicians play in orchestras is to keep that side of their playing in good shape. And if you're not in a big ensemble, you want to do a lot of chamber playing, whatever it is, you're going to grow in that area. But you know, I mean, I don't know. When it's up to the musician, you get to, as you get more into the working world, you get on with things. I don't know. I just don't know. I don't know where I'm going to be in 5 or 10 years, or 20, or 10, or 20 years. I don't really know where I'm going to be. I just know that some part of me just doesn't want to mess around with this stuff that I'm half-hearted about. If I'm truly half-hearted about it. So when it comes to like playing in orchestras, this has been the way it's always has been. You play some stuff that you're thrilled about, and you play some stuff that you're like, meh. And you play some stuff that's really hard for you to play that helps you grow helps your technical skill get better. And then you play some weird stuff that helps you be more imaginative about your own composition if you do that. Or something stylistically that you haven't done before. So I did like a Brazilian piece last year, I think. Hadn't really played a whole lot of music like this. I've heard some stuff like this, but I've heard a lot of bossa nova and stuff, but it was a classical style bossa nova. Classical style. Heitor Villa-Lobos. Yeah, I mean, it was different. It was obviously very romantic in places. He was obviously thinking about something amorous. But the rhythms, very South American. Burt Bacharach loves that stuff, Oh yeah. Just, like, it's great. It's relaxing. Or it just has this kind of feel to it that you're at the beach or something, or I don't know. Now I feel like a geeky white guy or something. I cannot dance. Well, I cannot dance. But the thing is there's some great pieces. And with the current maestro of this orchestra, the Fly Symphony, Maestro White, we do a lot of amazing stuff like that. More of the music we play is more of what I want to do. So it makes it more encouraging for me to stay with this group. It's one of the biggest reasons why I'm still with them. And I've been encouraged to play with another orchestra, Ensign Orchestra, which I played for before. They do more church stuff. Now, you know what? It is a choir and orchestra kind of thing. And the choir is... This is another one of my ongoing things. It's just... yeah. It's great for a bit, but you don't really... it's just... I don't know. I had a lot of mixed experiences, emotions playing in Ensign Orchestra, and it's different now. I've been told it's different. The thing is it's brutal schedule-wise. It was brutal, and I doubt that I'm going to be in this group, still again. And I'm looking into other ensembles, and I'm thinking to myself, you know what? Well, heck, I just want to be my woodwind quintet at sometimes, if not in Thalia, or different orchestra, try something different. There are other folks I've played, I remember from college at Central Washington, for instance. They bounce around a little bit for different community orchestras if they're not in a professional orchestra, and there's something very, very wise about doing something like that, because then you get you have more experiences under different kinds of directors, and maybe it's time for a change, and all this stuff, something different. And then when I'm writing my own music, when you're writing music, you again, this is Burt Bacharach has mentioned the same thing. He get a lot of inspiration from not only South American music, not just those guys, but a lot of stuff. But he tries to keep his music, call it fresh. Now there is a Burt Bacharach sound. There's some things that are very distinctly Burt Bacharach-ish that we can say, that's Burt Bacharach, if we know his music well. But he will readily admit which of his pieces are more unique sounding, which of his pieces are more not especially imaginative, but definitely Burt Bacharach. One of the pieces that's very imaginative was from the movie Alfie. Not Alfie, I'm sorry. Yes, that one too. But I meant to say Arthur. Alfie's good. Arthur's is particularly imaginative and particularly harmonically interesting, chromatic. because it starts out with a D minor, kind of a keyboard sound, electronic keyboard or digital piano, whatever it is. And it goes to G, and then it goes to C, which is in the key, and then it goes to F major 7, B flat, and then it goes to E major, and then it goes to A major. So it's a little different. And the A major course goes back to D minor, and just repeats. When it goes to the chorus, it's A major, I think. I'm sorry. Before the A major, it's kind of a it's not a B minor 7, but you're talking about basically your A major range, B minor 7 to E, or A over E. I'm sorry, or B minor 7 over E, basically to A major. So it's basically just variants on A major. Then it goes to B minor, and then back to a slight little E again. B minor 7 over E, then back to A major, and C minor. I think C minor 7. C sharp minor 7. And then there's kind of a F sharp major, back to B minor 7 for a bit. And then you have again that B7 over E, and goes back to A. This is no big thing. I know all this stuff. But the chord progression, because Burt Bacharach worked on this with Christopher Cross, the main theme from Arthur's theme. It is, you need a hook a lot of times for these choruses, pops or movie theme, main themes. You need kind of a bit more diatonic feel about a lot of these things. But during verses, or during some of the verses, you can be a bit more inventive. It can be more chromatic, but the main theme less so for a lot of pop movie themes. But Burt Bacharach will mention, very readily that he needs to keep getting new aesthetic material, new inspirations, new experiences. For me, they can come from anything. I don't know where it's going to come from next. For my own writing, my own compositions. It's hard to say what it's going to be. It's almost, I like to live every day as kind of being a little different. That's the way life should be. And sometimes some music is particularly emotional. Other times it's just very chill. And a lot of times when I'm listening to music, the last thing I want to hear is really super emotional stuff. Actually, not really. I prefer emotional music over something that's a chore to listen to. It takes a lot of effort. If something takes a lot of effort to listen to, right, something I'd rather listen to when I'm a bit more at my peak level of where my mind is at. But a lot of music, I don't know. It's just, there's a lot of in between areas with this stuff. So, anyway, that's some things that are happening right now. Now, again, there's probably some things I want to talk about that I'm forgetting to do, but I haven't done one of these evening chats for a while. And now that it's warmer, we'll probably do more of them. But, I'd like to do just, brainstorming creative stuff. Like, I'm sure you guys have probably known someone that's like this, or maybe thought about doing this more, have done this more. Just designing your own video games on paper. I'm not doing it real yet, but just putting out a lot of ideas, level ideas, story ideas. And that's what I do sometimes, just to kind of let my mind and soul be more at peace, and relax in this crazy world. That's what I do. Along with composing is kind of like that, but it can be a little bit more of a chore. And I think a lot of times this tends to drive away a lot of folks from writing more music. that might be pretty good composers. It just takes a lot of work and a lot of notation, a lot of training and knowledge, and I understand, I do, but I still will. I'm be open to teach all these folks that might be very creative and imaginative. We just need to get more of the nuts and bolts and notation techniques and things, but also all the other things that you're training. I'm willing to teach all these folks. I'm hopefully looking forward to teaching more students composition soon. Anyway, I'll catch you guys later. You guys take care. Have a good night. Bye.